obviously the film isn't really an oral history of King Crimson, and obviously that was a deliberate choice, and it's more of a character study of this central figure and all his like talented surrounding cast. Can you talk a little bit more about that and what the creative impetus behind that was to go down that route rather than give an oral history?
Yeah, I think that well, I'm presuming there's one or two hardcore King Crimson fans in the audience today. And my experience of King Crimson fans is that they already know pretty much everything, and certainly are very keen to tell me that they already know everything. No, I'm kidding.
Sure,
about
we're going to
that.
find that out in a couple minutes.
But it just struck me that God, when I was you were sort of referring to King Crimson as a sort of religious experience for some of the fans, or being like a cult. When I was growing up, the Troubles were going on in Northern Ireland. I was like, you're fucking arguing about like different types of books that are saying the same thing effectively. I didn't really understand it, and the last thing I wanted to do is get caught up in some like whether the Discipline era band is better than the Islands, or any of that kind of stuff. And all the important things to know about King Crimson are already known. There's no point in filming a Wikipedia article, as far as I was concerned, because everybody knows that story. So with regard to the history of the band and the facts, if you like, I just try to get that out as quickly as possible so that everybody knows that just the territory, as it were, and then we start to look at the characters and how they interact. And for me, it's as much a study of management techniques as it is the story of a band. And it's but with regard to like my sort of methodology is I don't know what the fuck I'm doing most of the time, and I like to sort of like I torture myself. I look at other directors, intensely competitive and jealous, and I look at the work of other directors and I'm like, God, they've worked that out and they have clever ideas, so clever and stuff. And any time I try to have a clever idea in terms of how I approach something, it always goes horribly wrong. My best work is done when I just shut up and I listen, and I listen closely to the person that I'm seeking to document and sort of celebrate or understand or explore. And then I ask the next question that comes into my head. It really is that simple. And then I sort of come back with an enormous jumble of footage and some vague ideas. And my idea with this film was that, it's about time, and it's about death, and it's about how music relates to those two things. And time and death, and as far as I'm concerned, I'm pretty sure there's a link between those two things. And I think music, is a really great way of accommodating the link between those two things. But that's not really that's not what I'm telling you the film's about. It's just those are the themes, and so initially I just get attracted to the elements of the footage that talk those things through, or give people an opportunity to make up their own minds about it. But it's not really thought through before jumping into it, and then it's the conversations that I have with the editor that allow me and him to sort of to create some kind of form in this chaos, basically. But I knew very early on that Bill was going to be the heart of the film.